Hi, this is Pradeep Talloju from Provis Software, and today we'll talk about Kong's API management offerings. Along with me is Veera Shivaji Naineni, who is going to take us through a few demos. As part of Kong's offerings, it has a connectivity platform for APIs and also a design platform. As part of API connectivity platform, Kong provides a gateway which is lightweight, fast, secure, and cloud native. An API gateway here is a reverse proxy that allows you to manage, configure, and route requests to your APIs. It comes with a host of plugins, some of which are open source, available for free, while others come with enterprise subscription. The management of various objects within API Gateway may be done in two different ways with Kong. One is the declarative configuration, wherein you could fill in a YAML file with all the objects that you would need as part of your gateway, and once you start your gateway up, the file is read and everything is in place. Another way and more dynamic way is using an imperative way of configuration. This is done through Kong's admin API that exposes a set of RESTful APIs. We'll also take a look at Kong Manager, which is a UI that is exposed to manage all the objects on the API gateway. Along with Kong Gateway, API connectivity platform for Kong also provides Kong Mesh. Kong Mesh is an enterprise-grade service mesh, and it is built on an open source edge and service proxy, namely Envoy. This is an implementation of a service mesh which is out of the scope for now, and we'll save it for a later day. The third component that you see on the API connectivity platform is the Connect with a K. It has a host of components that help manage the API ecosystem in an enterprise. It helps with the management of the overall API ecosystem, provides a dev portal. It also features a service hub, which is a catalog of all the services that you have on your enterprise. It also provides centralized views with vitals that are needed for effective understanding of the API ecosystem. Note that most of the services on the Connect are through an enterprise subscription. On the API design front, Kong provides Insomnia. Insomnia is a free product that can be used for API design. It can also be used as a REST client for your testing. It comes with a CLI that can be used to invoke your REST APIs. This component of Insomnia is helpful in integrating with CI/CD platforms. Along with API design and the command line interface CLI, there is a plugin hub which can be used to extend functionality on the Insomnia. This plugin hub features a large variety of plugins that can be used. For example, maybe you want to sync up your code from a certain Git repository. There is a plugin for that. If you want to, for example, use AWS parameter store SSM, for example, for your access, you could use a plugin for that. There could be a lot of plugins. Maybe you want to use your JWT authorization token to be automatically attached once you generate it to other REST calls. So you could use a plugin for that. Next, we'll go ahead and take a look at the network topology that we are going to work with, and then we'll go into the installation. Here's an illustration of what we are going to work with in our demo. On the far right, you see that there is a target API implementation which is external to Kong really and is only accessible to Kong. This is the actual implementation, and the goal of our demo is for us to be able to access this API through the Kong API gateway. As part of Kong API gateway, you see that there is an admin API, and you also see other objects like routes and services. Admin API is a RESTful set of API implementations that is shipped along with Kong API gateway, and these are services that can help us create the objects that are needed for exposing our API. In our case, we will see in our demo that the admin API is used to create a service and then create a route so that the REST client is able to access the target API implementation through this route. The first part of our demo will see that a service is created with the parameters of the target API implementation, the path parameter of the target API implementation. And then a route is created so that the external systems, or in our case, the REST client, is able to invoke the route and then through the route invoke the service. It is important to note that in case of Kong API gateway, a service cannot be directly accessed through an external system or even a REST client here. Routes is like the doorway that can be used to connect to a service. Now you could have multiple routes that are all pointing to the same service, and you could manage which route to keep open or basically enabled, or which ones to disable, and thereby you have a good amount of control on the audience that are actually going to invoke this service. Along with the Kong API gateway, you can see that it is interacting with a database, which is implemented in Postgres in our case. As discussed earlier, Kong gateways may be managed through Kong's admin API or in a declarative configuration. And if you are going to use your admin API to invoke it in an imperative way, then you would definitely need a database. You could also use a configuration without the database, but in that case, it will be a declarative configuration. So what is a declarative configuration? Basically, all the information or all the objects that you actually want as part of your Kong API gateway. For example, in this case, you have this route and service, which are objects as part of Kong API gateway. These have to be defined beforehand as part of a file, maybe a YAML file, configuration file, and then start your Kong API gateway. In this case, it reads, as part of its startup, it reads the file and creates those objects, and then the configuration is static from there on. The last component that you would see is Insomnia, the REST client that we are going to use and invoke the route that is created to invoke a service that is again created to invoke the target API implementation. So before we go ahead and look at the demo, let's go ahead and do the installation. As you can see on the docs portal at konghq.com, there are various platforms into which we could install the Kong gateway. In our case, we have chosen Docker. Clicking on Docker takes me to the page where there are step-by-step instructions for pulling the appropriate image and starting it off and configuring them. There is a simpler way than actually going through these steps. I preferred using the Docker Compose template that is going to help me with the configuration of various components that are needed as part of the API gateway. So this is a a GitHub repository, and I can go into Docker Kong and use this repository rather, and pull the needed information onto my machine. Once I have all the files that are available on the Git repo onto my local folders, then I can go into the appropriate folder in here. In my case, I'm looking for the compose. So I would go into the compose folder and take a look at what's available there for me to start off. I could go in and take a look at this make file here that shows me the command to use for Kong with Postgres. So I'm going to use this command and start off the required components that I need for my Kong setup. And now I can see that all three are healthy, which means I can go ahead and start configuring the objects that I need on API gateway so I can do the invocation. So let's go to the demo that Shivaji had done.
Now I am going to add our backend API application service into Kong gateway by using Insomnia API client. Here, for adding service, I am sending name of endpoint and URL of backend API application. It contains address, port and URI details. Now, going to hit for add service. Service is added into Kong gateway and received success response. We can see host, path, port, protocol and etc. in the success response. Now I am going to add route for above service. Here route means URI for proxy invoke. By using this route we can get data from students data endpoint service. Now going to add route inside of students data endpoint. Route is added for above service and received success response. Now if I hit Kong API gateway with the students all route, then backend API application data should retrieve. Now I am hitting Kong gateway with help of students all route. Here we got backend API application data through Kong gateway. Next we'll go for rate limiting plugin implementation. Here rate limiting means we can configure the how many times we can hit backend application in specific time duration. Now I am going to add rate limit plugin for students data endpoint service, which is added in above process. We can configure rate limiting plugin for every second, minute, hour, day, month and year. In the command I am passing name of plugin and time configuration. Here got success response and plugin is added to backend API application. Now we'll test rate limiting plugin. As I mentioned in the command, Kong gateway accept only 5 requests for every hour. In the 6th attempt it will show like API rate limit is exceed. Now we'll test. See, in the 6th attempt we can see that rate limit is exceed. Now let us see about Kong UI Manager. By using this image we can configure UI Manager for Kong. Now we can see Kong UI Manager in 8899 port in my local browser. In the UI we can see all the services, routes and the plugins which I have added in above process. For example, in the above process we have added students data service endpoint. Now we can able to see it in service list. And also we can see routes plugins as well. We can also create new services, routes and plugins from UI Manager by clicking on Add Service, Add Routes, and Add Plugins. And also we can add certificates and consumers based on the requirement.
And that brings us to the end of this quick overview and a short demo. Although there is much more to Kong than what we have seen here today, especially with regards to what we haven't covered as part of enterprise features, we hope you would still treat this as a starting point to get a high level overview before you do further learning and exploration. On behalf of Shivaji and myself, thanks for tuning in. Signing off now. Until next time, bye.